Hey friends, welcome to another episode. Today we're talking all things macros, hence the new name. But before we get into it, I want to share a testimony from Mary. Now, Mary says, I really enjoyed this course. It was a great way to learn about how to track your macros and make sure you're eating the right things at the right times. The course also helped me understand why I should be tracking my macros and what happens when you don't. It made me realize that if I want to lose weight, I need to keep track of what I eat and make sure I'm eating a balance of healthy foods. I would highly recommend this course because it's an easy way for anyone who wants to lose weight to do so by tracking macros. Mary, I'm so glad that you are getting amazing results. Keep on doing what you learn to maintain your results. Friends, if you're somebody who wants the same results as Mary, then keep listening because today's episode, I'm giving you 3 tips for losing weight with macros. Hey, friend, welcome to Lose Weight with Macros, the basics podcast show with me, your host, Verona, where I believe if you are the woman that you are struggling to lose weight, you're sick of crash diets, fad diets, and gimmicks, and you are willing to do whatever it takes to get the results that you want, you are in the right place. If you're somebody who's overwhelmed by all of the conflicting information out there, you're confused about how much protein you should be eating, how to count macros, you don't have time to figure out your macros, and you're sick and tired of repeating the same old boring meals because it is exhausting, you are in the right place. Because, my friend, this Lose Weight with Macros Basics podcast is specifically for you. You're the woman who wants to learn how to track your macros and do it sustainably, do it in a way that you can enjoy your foods and you don't have to cut out your favorite foods. And we're not here for that. So, my friends, if this is you, grab your tea, grab your coffee, grab your water, grab your matcha, your notepad and pen, because today's episode is going to be a juicy one and you're going to need to take notes. So, buckle up, friends. Let's get it. So, you are trying to lose weight. You know the drill. You know how it goes. You want to lose weight, but you don't want to eat fewer calories or exercise more. I cannot think of anything worse. I mean, can you? Because I know I can't. Because when it comes to it, you want something that's easy. You want a plan that's simple. You want a plan that's easy. You want a plan that doesn't feel like you're depriving yourself. Who wants to be cutting out the foods that you love in the name of weight loss? I mean, we've all been there. We've all done it. I've done it. I've tried it. And I can tell you it is not fun. So instead of that, it's about finding a way that you can actually lose weight now without having to do all of those things. Because if that's what you're looking for, girl, you in the right place. Let me tell you who macros is not for. Unfortunately, if you're somebody who has begun to have anxiety by counting calories and macros are very different things. But if you have developed some form of anxiety or you've developed an eating disorder, then macro tracking is not for you. And I wouldn't recommend that you sign up to the program to join for Focus on the Fat Loss because it will exasperate that and it will cause your anxiety to increase even further. And that's not recommended for anybody who has those conditions or those things that they are dealing with. So, if it isn't you and you're somebody who's looking for macros, then macros, if you're looking for a way to lose weight that's sustainable, that you don't have to restrict yourself from food, then macros might be something that you actually need. But you may be asking a question, how on earth does macros work and how can they help you lose weight? Well, my friends, let's uncover that in today's episode. Now, I'm going to get straight into it because you know that I am not here to do long episodes. The only time that I do tend to do episodes like that is if they are big and juicy topics, just like episode 141, the 10 types of people that should be counting their macros. But number one is to understand your calories. Your first step in losing weight is understanding calories. Now, calories is not as simple as calories in, calories out. You may be following people on TikTok. You may have done challenges where they talk about calories in, calories out. If you want to lose weight, you need to be in a calorie deficit. If only it were that easy. But your body has become adjusted and adapted to doing fad diets. Starting a diet, then you stop a diet. Then you start on Monday, then you stop on Monday. Then you can tell yourself, oh my gosh, I've got to take my children to do activities over the weekend. It is football season. It's pumpkin spice season. It is all the things. It's Labor Day, and you are just continuing to give yourself excuse over excuse. And then what happens is your body is becoming more adapted to one, your excuses, and two, your erratic way of eating. Now, no shade here, friends. I have been there myself. But when it comes to understanding your calories, calories are this. Calories are the amount of energy in food that you eat. The more that you eat, the more energy that you have. The less you eat, the less energy that you have. Now, some of us tend to think that if we eat less amount of foods, then we're going to lose weight faster. But that is not actually the case. Your body, when you're heavier, is going to need more energy because it needs to work even harder or even twice or thrice as hard to keep your body functioning at the weight that you are. Now, this isn't to throw shade at anybody, this is to keep it real and to tell you the realities of our bodies. Now, if you've been listening to me for a while or you're new here, you know I openly share my weight. You know that I shared last year that I had an injury to my shoulder and I also ate myself in feelings. I ate my feelings. I would eat a whole tub of Ben and Jerry's. I mean, they don't give you a decent size of ice cream anyway. If the tub size, 500 milliliters, is about two portions or two servings of ice cream. But you know how full of sugar it is and the fatty creaminess of the dairy, which I can't really eat nowadays anyway. But the fatty, creamy richness of the dairy actually calls and lures you in for more. Now, apologies, friends, if I'm actually stoking up the fires for ice cream in in your belly. But when it comes to these things, we automatically think if I want to lose weight, I automatically have to start eating less because that's the message that's taught in the diet culture. Now, as a coach, as a mindset coach, as a nutrition coach, my passion is to equip you with the truth. Now, what is that truth, you say? Now, don't worry, I am going to get back into macros. Don't worry, we're still on tip one about understanding your calories. But what I'm simply addressing here is many coaches in TikTok, on the land of social media, which is why I started to step away from social media and really hone in on the things that I love, which is teaching my clients to find nutrition and to help you find a way to lose weight that isn't these restrictive methods. Now, yes, you do need to be scientifically in a calorie deficit, which means your body is taking in fewer calories than your body burns. Now, that does not mean and it does not correlate to eating 1200 calories. Now, I haven't talked about 1200 calories for a hot minute. Now, 1200 calories is the recommended diet for a 4-year-old. Now, if you are a big woman, literally, and an adult woman, there's no way that you need to be taking 1200 calories unless there are certain things, unless you're a woman, there are certain women that do need to have that. Or however, if you are heavier than that, you're 5 foot and you weigh 250 pounds, there's no way that your body is going to survive on 1200 calories. The math does not compute. And that's what the diet culture fails to tell us. And what we do is we end up feeding the diet culture. We end up going, looking for something, and we're throwing money at the problem. But what we're actually doing, the things that we're throwing money into, is they're not telling us what we need to deal with. They didn't tell me what I needed to deal with before I dealt with it. This free training is great. This will help you. Some of you, it's going to help you. Some of you are going to need that accountability to really keep you on track, which is why I've created Focus on the Fat Loss and why one-to-one coaching is open. But then others of you can do this information and grab it by yourself. Absolutely. Go down to the website, vanutritioncoaching.co.uk/macros guide to download your free guide and to how to get started when it comes to macros. But if you're somebody else that wants the personalized thing and customized nutrition for you, vanutritioncoaching.co.uk/you can eat that is the macros guide. The macros guide, how to track your macros, what macros entails, and your customized macros and the breakdown video is provided by me. That will give you everything you need. So that in that guide, I'm helping you physically understand your calories and learn about macros. But when it comes to calories, when it comes to diets, we have to be aware of the information that we're taking in. I know you want the fat gone. I know you don't like looking at your body in the mirror. I know you don't like seeing your belly. I know you don't feel attractive. I know you've been married for 20 years and your husband looks at you the same way he did when he first met you. But you cannot get over the way that you look. You cannot get over the fact that you know how to track macros. You know how to count macros. But if one thing comes to derail you on that particular day, you give it all up and you don't bother tracking at all. And that one day turns into a whole week, then 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then you get the picture. Now, instead of doing that, it's about finding what happened. Everyone's going to hit a bump in the road. This is life. But it doesn't mean that you need to eat less calories just because so and so says it, just because her body looks like the goal that you want to get to. What you have to understand is eating ridiculously low amount of calories is not going to get you there any faster. And even if it does create fast fat loss, you're not going to be able to sustain it. That's just a reality. But the diet culture, the people that you may be following on social media, they don't tell you that. Now, if you're busy, if you're somebody who's busy and you ain't got time to do this, then macros might not necessarily be for you. This whole calorie thing, it might not be for you. You might be better suited with one-to-one coaching. You might be suited with a coach who tells you what to do, gives you everything that you need, and all you have to do is just eat it. I, unfortunately, am not that type of coach. I don't spoon feed my clients. I'm the type of coach that works with women who actually want to learn what to do. They don't don't come to me as if I'm a genie to dictate to them what to do. They're not robots, they're not machines. Even though you might have a busy schedule, you still make the time to focus and fit this thing into your lifestyle and your health. Now, when it comes to counting macros and when it comes to counting calories, the most accurate way to keep track of these things and what foods you're eating is recommended to use an app. And I highly recommend MyFitnessPal. Now, the MyFitnessPal guide will come in with my macros count that I give you, the customer's macros count. However, one of the things that I will do, and I will say in your macros breakdown, is that when it comes to these calorie counting apps, for some reason, I don't know why, it's a default method with many calorie counting apps is they default to 1200, as if everybody needs to eat 1200 calories. And that's my only pet peeve. And that's what I break down in the video. When I'm helping you to maintain it, you'll understand when I give you this information. So that's a little bit about understanding your calories and a little bit more about the diet culture and a little bit more about how our behavior and our mindsets tend to go to these things that promise a quick fix. But if you've done those quick fixes before, you only realize that you keep going back to the same starting place over and over again, even heavier than you were the first time that you started. Now, this isn't to throw shade. This happened to me, but it's to encourage you. You are in a stronghold right now. And in order for you to break through that, you have to go to the root cause. There is no moving about it, because if you keep coming back to this same thing, something is wrong, which I know you know, but it's about how you overcome this. Get into the root cause of those issues. It's hard, it's challenging, but what is harder? Staying overweight, increasing the health risks on your body even further, or undoing and dealing with the temporary pain of going to the root cause. But once you know what the root cause is, you can then start to deal with the fruit, because many of us try to pick off and deal with the fruit, the low hanging fruit on the trees. We try to pick that, but actually, if the root is still connected to the ground, it's still going to grow and reproduce fruit. And that's what happens with many of our journeys. We tend to do okay for a while, then something happens, then we give up and we start our diet over again on Monday. And if you're in that place, I want to encourage you. That's why I do these episodes. That's why I coach. That's why I give you the guides. That's why the coaching is on. And I have created the Focus on the Fat Loss program in a way and in a price point to be able to, one, reflect and account for the times that we're in, and also to help you. I've worked incredibly hard for this program because I didn't have this when I was trying to lose weight. I didn't have this. I didn't have a coach. I went to Google. Google was my coach, and I got lost down the rabbit hole. And I just used to search, what do I need to do to lose belly fat? Because my belly was the one that gave me the most insecurities, which is why I'd wear oversized clothes. It literally looked like I had on a bed sheet every single day, like a size 20 clothes. So you would never be able to see the outline shape of my body. I hated everything about my body. So I'd make sure that I'd always be in black. I'd never be seen in wearing white. White made me look huge, and I didn't like it. So when I went to Dr. Google, or Google, it's not a doctor, but I say Dr. Google because that's what people treat Google like. They treat Google like, or the search engines, like you're a doctor. They search for a diagnosis instead of going to an actual professional that can actually diagnose you, or somebody else in the medical field that can diagnose you. We tend to go to Google thinking they're going to solve all of our problems because we don't want to deal with it. We don't want to address it. But in order for you to change, you have to. It's hard, and I'm going to keep saying it, but you have to. Number two, learn about your macros. So in the fitness industry, macros are short for macronutrients. I've said this in many episodes, and I'll keep saying it for those of you who are new here. Welcome. But these are calories from all types of macronutrients. Fats are not bad, carbohydrates are not bad, and protein is not bad. Now, you can learn more about this in the macros guide. You can dig into what macros are and learn about it a little bit more in the free guide. In the paid guide for Focus on the Fat Loss, it is a lot of information, so you will be able to read this at your leisure. But you can go to the website, and I will link everything in the show notes below, so you can learn more about your macros. So when it comes to losing weight with macros, the first thing to do, or the first step in losing weight with macros, is to find out how many grams of each macros you should eat per day. Now, this is going to be different for different people. You might see some coaches say 40 30 30, which is 40% carbs, 30% protein, 30% fat. But a true macros coach will know that's just a generic macros split, and that can't work in everyday life. That doesn't work as much. Now, it's an easy split, it's an easy thing, 40 30 30, but your needs are going to be different to Sally's, and Sally's needs are going to be different to Amy's. So if I started to have everybody 40 30 30, then what's the point in doing macros? You might as well continue doing what you're doing, pining after Sally's results, expecting that you're going to get hers, trying to do what she's doing, and then getting frustrated that you're not getting those results. And the reason why you're not getting those results is because your body is not Sally's. And when it comes to customized macros, I'm not giving you a macro split. I'm teaching you how to, one, maintain your macronutrients, and two, understand why you've got this balance based on the things that you tell me when you sign up for the program. Now, it can seem a little bit overwhelming, But stay with me, it's not overwhelming. Now, it all depends what your goals are. Now, the national recommended daily allowance for carbohydrates is 45 to 65%. Now, the difference is our body types. Now, I'm an endomorph. Now, if I have a high carbohydrate intake in terms of simple carbohydrates, my body's not going to love me. Now, that doesn't mean I need to cut out carbohydrates. Now, there are all sorts of things that you need to take into consideration, but just because someone has a high percentage of carbohydrates, it doesn't mean that you can. If you've got a high percentage of fat already, be aware of these things. This is what I'm taking into consideration when I'm doing your macros. So just because you might go off and go and search afterwards, many of you will, but you might go off and search afterwards, how do I eat macros to lose weight, and then find a whole heap of lists. But what you're going to commonly see is this macro split 40, 30, 30, 35, 35. Equally, it should all equal to 100%. But the difference is your body. It's going to equate to your body. So just because everybody, or most people, most coaches tend to be easy and put 40, 30, 30 because that's simple. It's easy. But your body might have a higher need for fat. Your body might have a higher need for protein. Your body might have a lower need for carbohydrates. It all depends on where your body is. And therefore, it's going to be a different amount. And that's one of the biggest things that I can tell you when it comes to learning about your macros is it isn't as simple as 40, 30, 30, a random number, and everybody just has the same thing. The next tip, I believe we are on tip number 3, is planning ahead. Planning ahead is key to your success with macros. If you're eating a meal that you've planned out in advance, amazing. Planning ahead makes it easier for you to stick to your goals even when things get busy at work and at home. Now, when it comes to tracking macros, it's about learning how to stay on top of your nutrition. Now, there are going to be days when you're not going to hit your macros. I'm not the coach that says to you, you haven't hit your macros today. Why haven't you hit your macros? You haven't hit your macros today. There's not every day that I hit my macros. Some days I go over. Does it mean that I've failed? No. There's some days I eat under. Does it mean that I failed? Absolutely not. That's a mindset and a mentality that needs to be dealt with. But when you're planning in advance, this helps you to take away some of the stress and the anxiety of being faced with things that are unexpected, because sometimes things happen. A friend could decide, or a family member could decide to invite themselves round for a pumpkin spice latte. They've got the syrup, they've got all of the things, and they want to do something for the evening. They haven't seen you. You might not have the money to go out and eat, so they're bringing all of the activities to you just to spend time with you. So instead of putting that extra pressure on them, you might decide, let me just have it. And that's an unplanned thing. But when it comes to planning ahead, plan ahead as much as you can for these things so you don't get to that place where you're like, oh my gosh, I haven't tracked my macros, or I haven't hit my macros today. It is okay. Number 4. Oh, no, number 3. Number 3. Sorry, I can't count. I said 3 tips for losing weight with macros, innit? I've given you a bonus one. And the bonus tip is you can lose weight with macros if you have a plan and stay consistent. So you've heard you want to lose weight. You've heard that macros can help you losing fat. The name of this podcast is Lose Weight with Macros. And you can also gain muscle without making you bulky. But you're confused. You're like the macros newbie. If you've not listened to episode 141, go listen to episode 141 where I talk about the 10 types of people that should count macros, or why these 10 types of people should track macros and how it can benefit them. But like the macros newbie, you're confused about what exactly macros are and how they work to help with fat loss. So we've covered this in the beginning. I'll go over it shortly here. But macros are carbohydrates, proteins, and fats in a food or in the meal that you eat overall. And we need those nutrients in large quantities in our bodies to function. That's a basic synopsis of what macronutrients are. Now, if you want to find out what your specific macros are, you can head over to the website and book yourself a macros nutrition session with me. vanutritioncoaching.co.uk/you can eat that. I'll put the link in the show notes below that you can also grab that. In that, I am calculating your personalized macros as well, and I will break it down and I will give you a video that will equip you with everything that you need on how to navigate these macros. So I'm not just giving you a set of numbers, but when it comes to, and it also includes a check-in as well. So you'll be able to email check-in with me when things are happening, and you can do that for 4 weeks. You'll be able to check in with me over a 4-week period because it's going to take some time for you to get adjusted to. But initially, I'm giving you a breakdown because you'll fill out an application form. You go to the website, you will buy this, then you'll be taken to the application. And the application simply is just for me to know a bit of information about you, why you want to track macros, everything that I need to know to be able to give you your customized macros nutrition. And there, I then will break this down, what I found, why I've done this, why I've done that. It's a comprehensive nutrition plan because, as I say, I want you to succeed. So there are different ways. If you're somebody who's not ready for coaching, you still want to have macros, there are different ways that you can do this. But if you're somebody who doesn't need the accountability of a coach, you can go ahead and download the guide, vanutritioncoaching.co.uk/macros guide. That is a free guide to help you. Now you might say, why am I paying and she's getting a free guide? They're obviously different. So the free guide is going to give you a kickstart, whereas the paid guide, I'm giving you your macros and it teaches you step by step how to use those macros, how to plan your foods, what you need to do to track your foods, how to track, the benefits of tracking. I'm giving you all of those things for 4 weeks. You get 4 weeks of check-ins. You don't get that in the freebie. So that's the difference when it comes to that. So if you're somebody who wants that accountability and you're not somebody who wants to actually do, and if you're somebody who does not want to do focus on the fat loss, you don't want to do the group coaching, this is the way that you can lose weight, have a plan with your nutrition, and still get some check-ins with me just to make sure you're on the right track as well. So my friends, in a wrap it up, with macros, it's easy to lose weight, and the key is consistency. It might be hard for some to be consistent, but the moment that you start to focus on building the habits that you need to be consistent, this is where you will begin to find things start to get a little bit easier. Now, in order for you to succeed, make sure you have a plan that works for you. It's no point in trying to look for Sally's plan. Let Sally do her thing. You focus on you. Focus on loving and knowing who you are. If you don't love yourself and you don't know who you are, you will always be looking for other things and other people to validate you. Instead of that, focus on who God has called and created you to be, because you're unique, one of a kind. Ain't nobody like you. Her body shape may look similar to you, but she's never going to be you. You're never going to be her. And that's exactly how it's supposed to be. And listen, it's going to take some trial and error to find out what works best for your body, but don't give up. Whatever you do, don't give up. Don't give yourself an ultimatum. Don't be too hard on yourself when it's not happening. When it was falling off with the fad diet, of course it was going to fall off quicker with the fad diet because you're starving yourself. Now you're doing things properly. Now you're doing things slow and steady. It's not going to be as quick as that. But the difference is you're going to be able to rebuild your confidence. You're going to be able to learn to understand the things to put in your body and no longer be controlled by food, and taking the steps to understand how to overcome these negative thoughts and negative narratives and mindsets that we continue to have. It is going to take time, but you can do this. And friends, that is the end of today's episode. If you're somebody who has questions about today's episode, send me an email, support@vanutritioncoaching.co.uk. So with that, friends, I hope you got something valuable from this. Don't forget to also leave a review to share how this has helped you, and share with a sister friend that wants to know 3 tips for losing weight with macros and how it can help her. Until next time, friends, we will see you soon. Hey friend, you made it to the end of the episode. What was your biggest takeaway from today's episode? Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review over on iTunes. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns about today's episode, or you need help, then you can contact me over on Instagram @VA Nutrition Coaching Podcast, or email me support@vanutritioncoaching.co.uk, or you can head over to the Facebook page VA Nutrition Coaching Podcast. It helps us reach even more women who are fed up with dieting, don't know how to lose weight, they're frustrated with following Sally's results and they're not getting any of their own, and they just finally want to shed some pounds and do it in a way that they can sustain and they can enjoy. But my friends, that's a wrap for today's episode. I can't wait to catch you on the next one. Until then, friends, stay healthy, stay blessed, and remember, if you haven't already downloaded your 5-ingredient recipe pack, you can go to the website vanutritioncoaching.co.uk/recipes and download your 5-ingredient recipe pack. Who said healthy eating was boring? See you next time, friend.